or your line.
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCap. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, 1-800-70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of King, still basking in a little bit of Knicks championship glory. Because
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed, indeed. And we have that whole football mess that people are fake excited for still. But you know, hey, I guess gotta do something, right?
listen, you know, it brings people together. They watch, they cheer. You know, it's fine.
They forget all about it the very next day. Sure,
Of course, of course.
not really good for on lasting impressions, but yeah, I guess. Either way, we're not here to talk sports ball. We are here to talk comic books, and since this is the Comic Book Chronicles after all, you can find us on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, that's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, the Apple Podcast, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Yes. Also, before we get into things, you know, it's the last week of June, which means it's the last week of Pride Month and the last week of Black Music Month. So hopefully people have been celebrating and continue to celebrate well and safe.
I was about to say, this month flew by, man.
Kind of did. Also, it's a Evo weekend for those who follow fighting games, which y'all already knew that. Now y'all are watching Evo, so you know it is what it is on that. And there's also a Steam sale going on, but that's a whole other separate situation for a whole different podcast. But I'm just saying, things are happening.
Okay.
But also a thing that just is happening is what we're going to start off with, which is the premiere. Well, not the premiere. Excuse me. Supergirl came out in the theaters, folks.
Yeah, it's opening weekend.
Indeed. And Agent 70 and I both separately went to see it. And now we're going to talk about it spoiler free, of course.
Right. So, spoiler free, maybe the lightest of spoilers. I'm going to ring the spoiler bell just to be safe. So, incoming spoilers in 3, 2, 1 for Supergirl. Alrighty, so this is actually very, very loosely based on the Tom King and Bilquis Evely story, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Here's a copy of the trade paperback here for everyone's edification. Ultimately, though,
check that out.
Yes. Ultimately, though, it's a loose adaptation, much like a lot of these movies are very loosely based on stories that may lend these movies their title. But at the end of the day, you know, the basic premise of the comic book story is what's laid out on screen, and we get an interesting follow-up to James Gunn's Superman. We're introduced to the Supergirl character in James Gunn's Superman, and interestingly, like I said, mild spoilers, we do get to see James Gunn's Superman, in my opinion, more than I thought we would.
Mm-hmm.
and two, kind of provides a framing for the story that's told here, right? There, it's a way to frame the story, uh, frame this movie's story. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat for his overall thoughts on the movie. After I say that, I thought this movie was slightly more dour than I thought it should be. There were, I think, a couple of jokes that fell flat. I think that, it could have used a little bit more good humor, but otherwise it's definitely a serviceable movie. But I thought that it's that it kind of could have been a little bit more lighthearted in certain spots. So that's kind of my overall take on it. What did you think about it, Roddykat?
I was about to say, speaking of good humor, some ice cream would be great right about now because it's hot.
Mm.
But as far as the movie is concerned, I kind of agree with 8 because, but also as I told him before the show, or at least my opinion on my my opinion and speculation, just to go
Mhm.
that far with it, on why they might have chosen that tone, or maybe that was the case. Is I wonder if that was the point of them going lighter than they did with Superman, because I guess I don't know for a fact either one way or another, so it's just a speculation. But it definitely was noticeable that it was a little more darker in tone
Right.
in spots than Superman was, so it is definitely noticeable.
Mhm.
So therein lies that. You know, as we were talking before the show, also, depending on how old your kids are, you may or may not want to take them to it. Not to say that anything overly gross happens, but there is some kind of sort of adult matter that is not
Right. There
necessarily
are some
broached, but
adult themes, right? There are
yes,
some adult themes that are explored, but nothing overtly, nothing that's too out there. Let's put it that way. Go on,
right.
continue.
Right. So, there is something you may or may not want to look into, but if you find, as we also said before on the show, one, yeah, they're gonna see the stuff one way or another, if they're not already, sadly, seeing the stuff,
Mhm.
especially if they're like single digit aged and
Right.
younger. So, well, not younger, but you know what I'm saying. But as far as what I have felt about the movie, I thought it was definitely good. It's weird that a lot of times we come out of these movies, and at least for me, it takes probably it doesn't take a whole 24 hours to kind of get my feelings on how on the movie. With this one, I'm still kind of dealing with it, because
Mhm.
while it was functionally a good movie and it did what it was supposed to do, it's like, like Age of 70, does seem like something might have been missing in it. I don't know what that was. And also, we come to find out, I guess the possible reason why they changed the name of the movie from what it was that, as Agent 70 said, they definitely loosely interpreted, as movies tend to do, the Supergirl, the Woman of Tomorrow, the story. And what I've come to find out, which having neither one of us have actually read the story, but now I'm still kind of want to read it just to see kind of
Mhm.
what else was tweaks and what liberties they took. But there's definitely some stuff in the stuff that was like, oh no, this didn't happen that way, and this didn't happen that way, and this person wasn't that, and
Right.
X
And
Y
this
Z. But
character did not show up.
exactly.
Right.
So they definitely did some took some liberties here with this. Now, as far as and that the one person, the other person that shows up has been in the trailer, so that's not necessarily a spoiler. So Lobo shows up, and I
Hmm.
think it's from what we can tell is not in that story. So it is probably another. Hey, we got a shared universe here, so we're probably gonna see if there's you know, tap it enough, see if there's some buzz for a Lobo movie
Right.
situation going on here. Because as far as we know, he is probably not going to show up in that next Superman movie, or may, we don't know. We'll see how
He
they,
might. He
yeah,
might. And I think that's, at least in terms of um an appropriate place for Lobo to next appear. So we've gotten so far two super people movies, Superman and Supergirl, right? Um, I don't think Clayface is an appropriate place for Lobo to next appear.
Yeah,
So
no.
I think right. So I think that the next Superman movie is likely where Lobo appears next, if at all.
Right.
So I don't think we're getting where else would he appear? A Green Lantern film? He's
If
not
he
going to
shows
appear
up in that,
in
if he shows up in
series.
Lanterns, that could possibly happen, but I doubt it.
Yeah, that's a little that's a little bit far fetched.
Right. I mean, like I said, as you said, natural, probably organic places for him to show up would be in this story, possibly Lanterns. Realistically, like I said, if they end up going out into space at any point in Lanterns, that's a possibility, but highly
Right,
unlikely.
right.
So, but yeah, there's no, and that Kaipe movie, I believe that's still in the Matt Reeves universe. So I don't think any of that's going to be joined with any of this other stuff comes out, as far as I
Right.
know. So that would be something weird if that happens. Like, why is Lobo showing up in this whole other side universe thing? Which wouldn't be surprised, wouldn't be outside the realm something they would do, but would still be weird. Regardless, though, I mean, overall takes of this movie was actually it's kind of funny. I have a little anecdote real quick. So my wife and I went to the movie, saw it with her. She's already seen Superman, so she was good on that. The one thing, her couple of takeaways coming out of it, and she could probably hear me, but it's fine. She'll be fine. As soon as we come out, actually how it was, and her first takes was, one, how does Krypto and and I was like, how long is he gonna live? I'm like, if they're gonna replace him or anything? And the second one was like, how do you let him just run rampant like that? I'm like, well, one, he's a dog and it's comic relief,
Right.
for thing. And two, that first one, like, yeah, he'll basically live forever as far as being in the comic character goes. But it was kind of funny
Right,
that
right, right. And
those were
three,
her
right, and
takes.
three, he's a digital dog.
There is that too. Yes,
Right.
which I didn't even just like was like, ma'am, this is all fake. Don't worry about it.
He's CGI. He is
Yes.
CGI.
So, but that being actually, which goes back to the point, because like it to me, it did, as kind of building on what Agent 70 said earlier, kind of felt like the crypto parts were kind of where the comic relief really supposedly were in this
Mhm.
thing. And that was like, okay, it's just a dog, like we get that. And it's like, it's not really
Right.
that.
It's a very John Wick-esque motivation in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. And a lot of people are like, well, we're doing this again, putting crypto in danger again.
That was the first thing I thought.
I've heard that criticism out
Mm-hmm.
there, and I got that. There are a couple of bits in here where I'm like, wait a second. She's like the character that we're introduced to is basically Inigo Montoya. Doing an Inigo Montoya bit as well. But depending on your vintage and your mileage, you may or may not kind of get the implied reference. So
Right. Now we get it for if anybody happens the same thing. Yes, we get it. What happens to Crypto and Superman movie is not the same as what happens here, because it wasn't the focus of the movie, and it wasn't the plot device to get the main character to a place,
right,
basically, as it was in Superman. That was just like, that's a sad thing, and it happened. He was a casualty. Not a casualty because he obviously lived, but I'm saying he was a slight victim in that one, as opposed to what happened here, even though he was a victim here. But the point, he was a focal point here, within reason. So,
right.
What you think?
And I just so I like the idea, and it's a tried and true trope that the Kryptonians have to be weakened or depowered at some point to make them, to make the stakes real. or to make the story compelling, right? And that's just part of telling a story involving these characters, because if you put them on a place where they are immensely powerful, maybe not omnipotent, but definitely immensely powerful, and powered by a yellow sun, without a ton of weaknesses that are readily apparent, you have to come up with ways to to weaken them and to make them vulnerable. So we saw what they did with Clark in the James Gunn Superman. Now we have Kara in the Supergirl movie, and what they do with her is take her off world. And she has reasons for doing that of her own. Some of it is late teen, early 20 rebellion. Some of that is self-medicating, which we find out is probably what's going on. And that's kind of the journey, which is one of the adult themes that Roddykat was talking about, that this movie kind of explores, but I don't think it explores it well enough, to be perfectly honest. So that's my personal take on it, but I thought it was serviceable.
Yeah.
Right. I hope it makes some money. It's not $1 billion movie. This is not $1 billion movie. So
yeah. So actually, I'm glad you brought up the point about the stuff they had to do, and we'll probably revisit this again when we talk about my adventure with Superman, just slightly, but because it's something I've mentioned last week. But so yeah, the thing they ended up doing at a certain part for that mode was like, wait, I don't recall. Now, and granted, this is a fantasy universe and a fantasy, fantasy setting, fantasy universe, whatever. I'm just like, I don't recall there being any kind of from what I also understand, a similar thing happened in the book, but I don't think it was the exact same thing they did here. But regardless, let's just say, going off of what Age of 70 just said and how they have to weaken her, they did a thing that was like, okay, so here's a planet that has 2 different suns. Do with that with what you will.
Right.
And one of those was like, okay, sure, that's a thing, but I don't think that's an actual thing. Because it was like, sure, all right, if you say so. But it was like, I guess they couldn't figure out another way to do the same thing they were trying to get to with that section. And again, I don't know if that particular thing is in it. If that particular thing is in the book, and because I know something similar does happen, but as far as I know, it doesn't happen strictly the way that does. And some things, of course, being like I said, it's an adaptation of a book, doesn't happen the same way as we said earlier. So that means that. But that was like, that's a little weak for me. But it's getting, like you just said, it's serviceable. It gets them from point A to point B with what they were trying to do. So I'm like, all right, let it go.
Right.
Just let it go. Just also, like I said, that was the other reason why I kind of wanted to read the book. It was like, yeah, okay, I already knew about some things that changed. It was like, now I got to see if some of this other stuff is in there. So that being said, though, yeah, Supergirl was good. I don't see myself going back for another viewing in the theaters.
No, it's good enough for me.
We're going to go ahead and spoil it and say that, hey, there's no post-credit scene, so you don't have to worry about that. Should you get to see this in town before going to see it. But there could possibly be some slight setup. Well, I guess by proxy, there is some slight setup to the next Superman movie at the end of it.
Yes.
So, but it's nothing you would, and that's not really a spoiler. It was like, okay, yeah, we see, XYZ is here and there, and here we go. So
right. As I said earlier, it's definitely a framing, not a sequence, but definitely a way to frame this particular story. They definitely use James Gunn's Superman as a way to frame this story moving forward.
Right. But also has me questioning, like, okay, so there's a couple of things that was brought up in the movie. Like, is that part going to actually come up in the next movie, or they're going to potentially, or is she going to get another is there going to be another Supergirl movie and it's going to get addressed there? That part I'm actually kind of curious about.
Right.
But if they're going the way it's potentially looking, well, we don't actually know yet because there's a piece that's missing out of it. But if they're going a potential way with it, could be something addressed in the next movie, or the next movie could set up another movie that
Right.
something's gonna happen. We'll see. Regardless, that was Supergirl, folks. We're actually gonna stay in the Super Corner with talking about this week's My Adventures with Superman Season 3, Episode 2, which is called Mobile Suit Toyman.
Right. So, if you're familiar with what the title of this episode is, kind of making a play on, or at least referencing, then you have an idea of at least how part of this episode goes. Because what's interesting is that we have. A lot of things happening. I completely forgot that we are now in season 3. So, when I was looking up recaps, I was like, wait, this is season 3? I thought we were still in the second season. But this is the third season of this animated series. And now we have come to a point where there is active double dating going on, right? And sort of. Right, it seems that way, where we're following two different relationships as they grow and evolve over time, kind of. And what we have in this episode is some funny references to convention culture, maybe even specifically comic book convention culture, and we have a callback to a character who we've seen different iterations of this character in the animated DC universe, where in the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited version, and maybe even in the Superman, the old Superman animated series, I think the Toyman that we saw in those were one of the more recent incarnations of Toyman, where Toyman was a younger Asian kid. Am I incorrect in saying that? But in this version,
yeah.
Right. But the point is, it was a younger kid, a younger person, and in this version, we have, I think, the OG version of Toyman, and I'll hand it off to Roddykat to continue talking about this, but. I'm having a good time overall with this, version of like an updated origin of Superman, because we're getting a lot of characters that have been, at least to people of our vintage, are relatively new, right? Because a character that's introduced in this episode is relatively new to us in terms of how long they've been associated with the DC universe and been in the DC universe and associated with Superman, whereas in real life, this character is now 30 plus years old. Good God.
I picked you off this shit.
So I'll hand it off to Roddykat for his thoughts on this episode.
I assumed he was older than that, because if we're talking about Toyman, because I recall.
Oh no, not Toyman. I'm talking not Toyman. I'm talking about the character they introduce in. I should have been more clear. I'm talking about the character they introduce kind of in the cliffhanger ending.
Oh. Yes. No. Yeah, because you mentioned that before the show as well. Yes.
Sorry about that. I should have been more clear. I apologize.
No. You're good. I totally forgot about that. Actually, so yeah, on that. Yeah, we get a little bit more inching, possibly ever closer to the death of Superman, if they plan on going that route, which it seems like they might be with this. But they're going about it a different way than they did in the comics. Put it that way. And so yeah, as I said last week, they are. I as just like Agent 70 enjoyed this version of Superman, because it is definitely, as I've tried to put somebody on to this fairly recent, as I've said, it's a fun take on the Superman mythos, and it's definitely, it's like, yeah, they've changed some stuff and this and that and the other, and they've made XYZ character this and that and the other, and they use, took some liberty as one dude, but it's nice takes. It's nice. It's cool takes on some of that stuff. It's more fun takes on some of it as well. So that being said, also, as Agent 70 pointed out before the show, we also get another introduction to another character who is going to have their own show fairly at some point down the line. So, and it was cool because it was like, oh, that's cool. They put that, they dropped that in there. So I assume we may or may not see that character anymore in this season or not. Like whether we're going to probably see the origin of what we know them to end up being during this season before they, kind of shadow drop in order before that goes into their show. We'll see. But but with what they have in here, and of course, this show has been doing things like, hey, you know what? You want to see a nice little mecha sequence? Here you go. They've been cool about doing stuff like that. It's like, you know what? Hey, Superman had a magical girl transformation sequence. Lest we forget at the beginning of all of this. So they've been doing some fun stuff with the show, and the characterization's been cool and whatnot. So it continues to be a good time. As we said last week and earlier, we're still doling out what the season is going to be, and getting other versions of Superman or that are continuing to come out, and see where that goes in this season, and who they're involved with is definitely going to be a theme for this season, of course. Which season's only 10 episodes. That's we know, because all of them have been, but they pack a good amount in these seasons when they do, and a lot of it, good. So if you're not up on My Adventures with Superman, check it out. Like I said, you do yourself a funsy if you can, because it is actually a good fun show. So, and even have a little bit of depth in it, in all of that. So that being said, though, we are going to push on to the comic books of the week with the one comic book that we have in common, which is Gatchaman, number 19.
Alrighty, Gatchaman, number 19, published by Mad Cave, is written by Sam Humphries, with pencils by Chris Batista. Inks are by Sabrina Cintron. Colors by Carlos Lopez, and letters are by Buddy Boudin. So in this issue, which is a direct continuation from the previous issue, we have the spires that are spread out amongst the around the world with the what are they called, the collective?
The Phantom Ascendancy.
Oh, the Phantom Ascendancy. Good God. So the Phantom Ascendancy claim that they're here to save the world. These characters have origins on Earth, but they have far surpassed what humans are capable of, because they've been, very high evolutionary esque. They've been evolved well past what humans have gotten to at this point in their natural evolution. Ultimately, there's a big reveal in this issue that's been teased going forward, but the idea is that they're setting up a big confrontation between this Phantom Ascendancy and the whatever they're called, and the Science Ninja team. What did you think about this, Roddy?
Yeah. So I think Agent 7 had asked me a while ago when these folks popped up, was like, have we seen these folks before? And the answer now is like, yes, but not really. Right. So, because their origin is with where we would have seen them, but I don't know if we have specifically seen these actual three.
Right.
As we get their origin story in this issue, as Agent 70 mentions. So there is that, but it goes. Well, excuse me, that was last issues when we got there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of in between these two issues. We've got a much better picture of who these characters are.
Right, and therein lies the point, because they came off a certain way in the last issue, and now in this issue, let's just say some true colors are starting to show,
shine through.
The
way the song goes, they're starting to shine through.
Yeah. And we also find out in the countdown to a specific day that their plan is going to come to fruition, which is in this issue only a couple of days from. The Science Ninja team actually gets some weird assistance from unexpected place.
Right.
And we come to find out that not to spoil too much, but let's just say that we find out at the end of this that folks are using a Cobra plot.
Oh no,
They're basically setting up to do a Cobra plot.
that's funny.
And so now
They're looking to dominate something, maybe.
Oh yes, using
Oh my
the
gosh.
elements. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So now the Science Ninja team knows this, and now they have to do with that information what they will and get out alive if the last page is to be considered. But yeah, that's pretty much that with this issue.
I swear to God, I keep screwing up. By calling them the Ninja Science Team. I'm like, because I'm dying to call them G-Force.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I know, and I'm
you know?
thankful that you don't. But
You
I mean,
know,
to
I'm
be fair, it would still
dying
work
to
out.
call
It
them
would still work
G-Force.
out. At least you didn't. I mean, because technically that is their another name. They even I want to say at some point probably even used it in this book at some point probably. Just
Right.
to say, hey, you know what? It's okay. But
We're still acknowledging, that generation of fans and where
exactly.
they come from. So,
But there's no Seven Sark 7, so
oh my God, I need it. Come on, Zevon's Arc 7.
we don't need it. We don't need it.
Yes,
we don't
we
need
do.
It. Oh, we don't. Because if I see that little Joker come checking us behind in the midst of a story, I will be very upset. Not actually, but
That's very
But
funny.
I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't do that though. There's like, no, here we have this computer in the cover in the corner somewhere.
There's going to be, all right. My guess is that they're going to be Easter eggs. They're going to be dropped as Easter eggs, like that, or Susan.
I'm surprised.
girlfriend.
Right, I'm surprised neither one of those have happened in the 19 episodes issues that we have had so far. Because now, granted, I'm not saying they're doing what ThunderCats does, because they'll drop an Easter egg, every other issue, or have at the start of this. But there's been a couple here and there, but the stuff's been like, oh no, this is actual canon stuff. So you gotta, if you know, if you don't, hey, they've been sticking kind of close to that. So that's why I say, it's like if they kind of go off and do a 7/7, I don't know how to feel about that. I know how I feel, but I don't want to feel it. But that being said, next issue's coming, and we'll see the results of what's going to happen between these folks and the Science Ninja team and Galactor at that point. Also, because in this issue, the world has responded in how its feelings on this new group, and in typical fashion, the world responds as the world responds, in a situation like this. So which is always funny in these books. I'm like, yeah, no, because but you don't see that's always before the underlying thing comes to the front, and then you'd be like, well, I knew that these people weren't good, and like, you lied. But anyway, that's Gatchaman 17. We are going to get into rapid fire.
All righty, folks. Rapid fire review time, because we only had one book in common this week. Here we go. Rapid fire reviews. All righty. First up for me is Absolute Wonder Woman number 21, published by DC. It's written by Kelly Thompson with guest art, I guess, this week or this month. On this book is by Dylan Snook. Colors are by Jordi Belair, and letters are by Becca Carey. So in this issue, we're following what happened to Diana after she is magically transported out of a situation due to a previous pact that she had entered into. There's a very heavy magical component in the story of Absolute Wonder Woman, so you have to kind of adjust your your notions and your understanding of what can happen in a book like this, because while there's plenty of magic to be had in regular Wonder Woman stories, I think there's even more so in the Absolute Wonder Woman version of the story. And the bottom line here is we get plenty of um, two aspects of this story. One aspect of the story right now is what Diana is up to now that she has been transported pursuant to this particular pact. And two, we have more exploration of the establishment of the character of the cheetah as we've kind of long known her in the regular universe, but we're seeing um, the evolution of a character who is almost destined to become the cheetah in the Absolute universe. Next up is Bizarro Year None, number 204. It's published by DC again. This is co-written by Eric Carrasco and Kevin Smith, he of Silent Bob fame. Art on this book is by Nick Pitara. Colors are by Michael Garland, and letters are by Dave Sharp. So this book has a winning combination of kind of an interesting take on a Bizarro who is not that idiotic, but kind of is, because we're getting a story of two main supporting characters in the Superman world transported to a Bizarro type world where Bizarro is the main character of the story, and things are not going to Bizarro's plan. Right, Bizarro's trying to set up uh, a world where he has enough knowledge of what the regular Superman lives like and what his relationships are, but things are not one to one in this version of reality. And obviously, it's because it's Bizarro who is looking at these things through a particular lens. And I think the story is pretty well told. The art on this is killer. I definitely recommend this. This is a candidate for Click of the Week for me. Next up is Captain America number 12. It's published by Marvel. It's written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Valerio Schiti. Colors are by Romulo Fajardo Jr. and letters on this book are by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So I mentioned this to Roddykat in our pre-production meeting earlier today. He's reading something that involves Doctor Doom, and from the point of view that we're looking at this post One World Under Doom, we're definitely in post One World Under Doom storytelling in the pages of Captain America, because we basically find out what Doom where Doom is, what Doom is up to, because Doom is definitely a key character in this Captain America arc. And hint, Captain America is fighting for his life in more ways than one. He is broken and battered. Think of where we find Steve Rogers at the very near the very end of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, before he wakes up to On Your Left. With Sam Wilson, with the MCU Sam Wilson. But we are in we're traveling with Steve Rogers' spirit into the Marvel Netherworld, as it were, because of Doom. And take that as it were, take that and kind of you can kind of extrapolate from there. I do not want to spoil everything about the story. Roddykat may at least want to skim this book just to see what's going on. But yeah, that's this is the first part of this story where we find out what's going on with Doom post One World Under Doom. Last but not least for me is X-Men number 32. It's written by Jed McKay with pencils by Tony S. Daniel. Inks on this book are by Mark Morales, and colors on this book are by Fer Cifuentes Sujo. I left out the letterer, and I apologize to the letterer. I'm going to get that information now and update my sheet. X-Men, 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 X-Men. One moment, folks. I apologize profusely for my oversight. This book was lettered by VC's Clayton Cowles. So, the X-Men, this version, the Alaskan X-Men, are on a science mission, and they encounter a member of the let's just say a mutant that was created by the 3K group. And we know that the 3K group is kind of like the next big bad of the X-Men corner of the Marvel Universe. They are now currently being led by, surprise, like basically the OG, spoiler alert, by the OG Hank McCoy. And a lot of that stuff is going to be playing out in the pages of the upcoming crossover event D and X, which I really want. But this is kind of a precursor, most likely, to that big event. This is more setup because we're getting this Alaskan X-Men team, most of this Alaskan X-Men team, on an excursion, and they're running into Department H, right? The good old Canadian Department H minus Alpha Flight. So that's what's going on here in this issue. There's, like I said, this is kind of all part of a big setup to what's going to be happening in DNX moving forward. And that's it for me. Handing the ball off to Roddykat.
I want that Captain America. I want to say, I feel like there is a one shot coming up that might tie into that based on what you've said from the angle that I'm probably going to touch on slightly. But before we get to that point, and I would have to go see, but the first book for myself is ThunderCats, SilverHawks, ThunderHawks, number 3 of 5, written by Ed Brisson, art by Vincenzo Federici, colors by Robbie Bavard, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So this is in the future. If you're not knowing, this is also, of course, a part of the crossover with ThunderCats and SilverHawks, as I've just said. So there was a book called ThunderCats Lost, with another set of ThunderCats who was on a mission. That book has ended. They ended up in the future, and now they've been trying to get themselves back home. Well, in this particular issue, the plan to get back to the future, back to the present, had almost been upended because they are in a future where basically the Silverhawks took over and it's martial law all over the place. But there is, let's just say, a Silverhawks related character that is in the background that is actually running the whole thing. And if you know anything about the Silverhawks and more specifically who they were always fighting, you know who that might be. In fact, that character shows up in this book, where in a little bit more than they did actually before now. Again, whether this character is going to, impact the overall crossover, which you would think would have happened, because as I imagine this whole crossover, you know what, the two big bads of that universe were going to get together and cause some mayhem. That has not happened yet, and given how many more issues and how far this story has already gotten, don't think that's going to happen that way, unless it's setting up something for later use. But like I said, team tries to get back home. One of them makes a decision, which, you know, if you've been reading the book, sure, it was going to happen regardless, but I wouldn't worry about it, because that character is a new character to the universe. So it is not one of the, while the 3 ThunderCats that came out in later seasons of the cartoon are in this book, it's not one of those who ends up making the decision that they do. Because there were 2 new characters that were made for in the ThunderCats Logs book. One of them is still with the team. The other one's like, I'm sticking around here. Y'all go hell on ahead. You know, save the future, or try to anyway. So that's pretty much what happens in this issue. And apparently there's 2 more issues to go. So clearly it's something they're you know, they're going to be doing something with this with the next 2 issues, because, you know, there's still stuff undone or that needs to be done, but we shall see how that works out. Next up for myself is Superman, Father of Tomorrow, number 2 of 5, written by Kenny Porter, art by Danny Earls, colors by Nick Filardo, and letters by Lucas Gattoni. So this is an Elseworlds book. What if Jor-El was not the one sent to Earth, but Jor-El, that's right, the father, came to Earth and not the son, and the son stayed to get blowed up. So yeah, Jor-El comes to Earth, meets with the Kents last issue. They pretty much adopt him, because of course what they do. An event happens, you know, and Jor-El's like, you know what? I could do some good on this planet. I need to actually do some good on this planet, because, you know, I got tech that can help, even though I shouldn't be doing it. So he goes about doing that. So this issue takes place 28 years later. If you're a SpongeBob fan, you know what that one. And yeah, Jor-El's doing this thing. He's fighting Superman criminals as one does, but also trying to make the world a little bit better. Some folks don't like that, of course. Surprisingly enough, up until this issue, well, not up until this issue, one, let's just say, main antagonist of Superman, who is known to be quite tech savvy, was along for the ride in a slightly favorable fashion, until something that happens in this issue. And then we get the person that we start getting the person that we already know was probably going to end up happening. So that's and of course, because Jor-El comes to Earth and he's like, hey, here's this tech, you know, I'm using to try to make things better. You know, humans and human nature were like, well, we can make guns, and he was like, you know, we don't need them to do that. But he's also not doing anything to go stop it. And that's where this other character that I mentioned was like, hey, we could kind of make another way for them, but, you know, like, no, we continue to do this my way. I told you to leave me alone with that, and things continue to happen on that front. You can see where this is going. So, and of course, you get some Lois Lane and her father business in here. So if you know, don't worry. As far as I can tell, no romantic interests, but more of a fatherly figure, which was also a thing that kind of was addressed in this issue. But yeah, still it continues to be a good story. Even if what I said sounds like it's spoilery, you know, check it out. I will also say that funny thing about this version of Superman is like he's more Batman in preparation, which is kind of funny, but you know, I guess it kind of makes sense. Man, he's a man of science, so he's like, you know what? Hey, you know, some of this other stuff is we can do something about some of this other stuff, and some of the stuff that he wouldn't say this, but some of the stuff that my son's was dealing with, I have things for. Don't worry about it. So you get to see a little bit of that in this issue. Next up, though, is Zatanna number 3, written and art by Jamal Campbell, with letters by Ariana Maher. So, after the events of last issue, where Zatanna was basically trying to rescue this, or find and or rescue the spirit, ends up doing a little bit something on that point, but gets upended by the efforts of the DEO occult division, who have uses apparently and whatnot for this particular spirit. But that gets kind of taken care of in this issue, but also opens up questions as to who is this agent that is running around doing this stuff for the DEO, who is not necessarily giving Zatanna the business, but definitely making things difficult for her, especially since she has a new station, almost Doctor Strange-esque, put it that way. Also, which is also funny, she does something with home that is also Doctor Strange-esque, kind of, but does it in a different way, so it's not necessarily the same. If you want to know what that is, you have to read the issue to find that for yourself. Next up is the book that I kind of alluded to a bit ago with Agent 70, and that is Doomquest number 2 of 10, written by Ryan North, art by Francesco Mobili, color artist Frank Darmada, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So, I kicked myself for not thinking about this earlier, and as I told the Agent 70 before the show when we were talking about this book, and I forgot to mention this last week, is why I'm kicking myself, or last time we talked about it. Basically, what is happening in this book is Doom's quantum leaping, and if you know that show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So Doom hatched a plan to kind of change his and basically various future, which of course the heroes was like, nah, son, you're not doing that. And of course his nemesis Reed Richards was like, well, let me go ahead and do something with this thing he made, to try to make sure he can't do what he's trying to do. So from that, we find Doom basically not only quantum leaping in the past, but basically Groundhog Daying in this particular issue, if you want to go ahead and add that particular time trope to it. And he's in what some would say a precarious situation that has to do with a boat and a particular iceberg, and meeting with an iceberg. So, and he's having to deal with that. But of course he's Doom, so he does Doom stuff, which goes 1, 2, 300 ways from in the course of this issue before Doom does Doom. So, that's pretty much what this issue is. It's been an interesting read for me for that kind of stuff. I'm hoping, and I don't know, I am assuming, and I'm hoping this book is going to end up in the era of One World Under Doom, just to kind of be like, wait, I did that? because if you're looking at it, this book is like, this is presumably a past Doom doing this, but it's not right. Too far past, I guess. There's no real time frame that was set in this. You could probably make some assertions by some, who shop pops up and what costumes they're wearing, but even then would be not that hard not that easy to figure out the time frame of this, and that's on purpose, certainly. So yeah, therein lies that, and that's this. So the next book that I have is Moonstar number 4 of 5, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I need to look that up. Written by Ashley Allen, art by Eduardo Ardino, color artist Arthur Hesley, and letters by BC's Clayton Cowles. So, excuse me. We have seen Dani Moonstar and this other new character as they are basically trying to stop the bad guy from basically swallowing up folks' souls for a mission that they are on, or that is started out this book. But they're still on that mission now. Dani's parents are in danger, and which basically set Dani up to have to make a decision on how she's going to handle things going further in this, and we basically go from that and to see what she ends up doing to complete this mission that she is on with this other dude. There may be a little bit, unsurprisingly, there may be a little bit of chemistry brewing up with these two characters, but whether that's going to stick or not, we shall see. But yeah, we also come to find out that the adversary, the adversary's plans are continuing, and it's not the adversary, it's not that character, but the adversary of this book, their plans are continuing to kind of go the way they want to. Last but not least, I actually didn't really read this. I skimmed through it, but I'm talking about it anyway. And that is X-Men Outback, #1 of 5, written by Steve Orlando, art by Steven Segovia, and that's a typo. Excuse me. Color artist Alex Sinclair, and letters by BC's Joe Sabino. So this takes us back to the heady days of the 90s. And
No.
Was it late 80s?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Late 80s. Excuse me. And
even earlier. It's an even earlier callback. And I did also skim this book, so I can contribute a few words on this as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. So at the start of this, so if you did not know, the X-Men died at some point. I mean, this happens multiple times, so it's not. But this particular time, yes,
right,
collectively.
But
this was after an event. This was Inferno.
No, this is Fall of the Mutants.
Fall of the Mutants. Okay.
It's one of my favorite stories, right?
Yeah, it was good. And I can't remember if we talked. We didn't talk about it.
Right. So this is before Inferno.
I keep getting those mixed up because stuff that happened here, I felt like I felt like it was Inferno, and I thought Fall of the Mutants was the whole.
Right. Remember, Inferno is right. Inferno involves Madeline Pryor, Belasco,
right.
Nastier,
right.
And this is this Outback series spins out of the events of Fall of the Mutants with the adversary. The X-Men part of Fall of the Mutants had involved the adversary and Forge specifically. So that's that recap page at the front of the story is pretty important.
Right, which is what I was getting to. So yeah, and like I said, I always confuse those two for whatever reason, because I thought adversary was a part of Inferno and not Fall of the Mutants. But it makes sense. Regardless, as Agent 70 said, we get the recap page that very much is important, as you said, especially if you haven't read that story. But I feel like you wouldn't be reading this book if you hadn't read that whole event. But regardless, so this is basically probably fairly soon after the events of that of Fall of the Mutants, and the X-Men are not settled, but they're in the Outback. There's from frustration and some infighting going on because of situations that were already present in that event also, by the way, in at least one case. And basically trying to make good with their situation, but like I said, they're still trying to figure out some things. So like I said, while if you have read that book, if you read that event and you read the X-Men around that time, this is kind of the stuff in between a moment that we actually see going forward in that particular run of the X-Men, and that was, if I'm not mistaken, the Claremont era. Still,
yeah, this is most certainly the Claremont era. The Claremont era continues into the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
What I will add to what Roddykat said is that yes, this is definitely kind of in the interstitial storytelling. Claremont definitely touched upon how the X-Men were adapting to their new reality post uh, post Roma, dealing with them and their resurrection in the immediate aftermath of Fall of the Mutants. Um, we're still dealing with characters who are at a certain stage in their development, right? We're dealing with Rogue and Dazzler and Psylocke at a certain stage in their history where they are definitely not where they are now. We are definitely dealing with characters who are firmly, firmly placed into that late 80s timeline. So this is a different characterization for a lot of these characters. Um, please keep that in mind, that that this is a story based on characters who were of their time, to a certain extent of their time, right? Claremont was always forward looking and forward thinking, but there's still a lot of development for these characters to undergo in their comic book stories. But ultimately, I need to reread this because I also skimmed this very quickly. I just wanted to see what Orlando was getting at, and it looks fun. I'm really familiar with these, but with that era of Uncanny X-Men storytelling. So I'm hoping that I enjoy it. I was going to give it at least the first 2 issues to see what was going on. So we'll see what's up with that.
Right. I don't suspect there's going to be anything that's going to drastically change what Claremont has already put in, because that stuff is already set in stone. So this is just stuff that's kind of just adding on to, like, we definitely get some a couple of characters, at least 1 or 2 characters kind of growing into what they ended up being around that time, and we kind of seeing that in this, and the rest of that will probably shake out in that. But we also, given what happened in Fall of the Mutants, apparently, and not necessarily people's reactions, but certain characters' reactions, especially in this book, one particular adversary of one particular mutant was like, I don't believe that actually happened. So they went to go and seek them out and apparently found them. So go figure. I mean, they're good at that kind of stuff, don't we? As we know them to be. So, point A to point B happened really fast. But apparently, judging by what I saw at the end of this issue, actually that's not surprising, because I think they even these folks already showed up around at that time of the X-Men anyway. But some other, folks of the time are going to show up in the next issue, and I expect it's going to, continue to go that way until this book ends, whatever ground it's supposed either laying or adding on to ends up happening in this book. I may stick it out though. Like I said, while I am familiar-ish with that era of the X-Men, I definitely did read that, despite me not remembering what event it came out of. I do remember actually reading it. But like Age of 70 is probably more familiar with that whole era as a whole than I am, because I was more of an Avengers fan at that point, and I was like, oh, let me see what's going on in the, let me see what event they got going on in the X-Men type situation, whether it crossover or not. So, but yeah, it could potentially be an interesting read. Like I said, I don't see anything that groundbreaking coming out of it, but some good stories around that era, as Marvel's been doing with various books. So this is probably going to be more of that. And with that,
right, it's kind of a fun callback.
Yeah.
For me, it's a fun callback for this era of storytelling and this characterization. Like, where these characters are in their development is kind of fun to revisit.
Right. I guess my problem with it would be is because sometimes we get like, here's the story that, the story that hasn't happened but was in between the story that happened type situation. Sometimes they try to throw some stuff in that may or may not have any forward progress, or bring up anything else, or make anything else new happen.
Right.
Sometimes that could be
it has happened. It just hasn't been told. That's how they.
Well, that too, but I'm saying, like, adding a wrinkle that actually hasn't happened that they will address at some point with something new later down the line type situation.
Right.
So sometimes they'll do that. Yeah, but yeah, as Age of 70 said, like, yeah, this stuff has already happened. It's just like they're just adding to it. So we'll see. You know, like I said, I'm gonna try to stick on to this and see where it ends up, and we'll go from there. Um, I am just going to mention real quick before we get to Kliqs of the week. The last Starfighter movie adaptation also came out this week. If you're interested in that, and that's basically reprinting a story that happened. I mean, obviously, this, you know, it's an 80s movie that had a comic book adaptation by some folks you may or may not know, but they reissued it here because there's a Last Starfighter continuation comic book that is coming actually fairly soon, probably next week if I'm not mistaken. So just saying, that's the thing that's out there if you are unfamiliar before that new comic book actually comes into play. I personally love Last Starfighter as a movie, but that's just me. I don't say it's not for everybody. It is of a time as well. But with that, we are going to the Kliqs of the week.
All righty, folks. Kliqs of the week.
That wasn't quick enough, but that's fine. So Agent 70, what Kliqs have thee?
I only have a few books to choose from, but I will say that my candidates are Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm sorry, Absolute Wonder Woman number 21, Bizarro Year None number 2 of 4, and Captain America number 12.
Okay, yeah, those make sense. Not surprised there. For myself, Doomquest number 2 is mine. Well, it's still actually have anymore because that's actually the one that stands out. Excuse me. Superman Father of Tomorrow. That's actually another fairly decent pick. I can find the cover. There you go. And actually, you know what? Moonstar number 4 for a reason. Of which you would.
Yeah, I'm behind on that. I should catch up on that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
is it a 5 issue? Is it a 5 issue limited?
It is
series?
a 5 issue,
okay.
I believe. Yes.
Got it.
Actually, hold on for a second. Let me check and make sure that is actually true. But I believe I'm going off fumes on that one. But I believe it is 5 per usual. But those are pretty much mine. Yep, 4 or 5. So yes, that is that. Do you actually have? Oh, actually, let me put up the cover real quick.
I have my choice.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, what you got?
I think I'm going to go with Bizarro Year None number 2 of 4. I'm always a fan of Absolute Wonder Woman, but I think that this Bizarro miniseries has been fun, and it's always interesting to see, you know, kind of quirky art as well. You know, I'm very much a traditionalist when it comes to superhero artwork. You know, and you know, I'm definitely influenced by the 90s. I'm influenced by manga-esque art as well from the aughts and later, and from old school art styles. But it's always fun to see, you know, subtly different takes on comic book art making their way into the mainstream. So that's what makes this Bizarro series fun.
Indeed. Also, second week, a Kevin Smith pick has been made. Funnily enough, so because I believe wasn't that Jane Silent Bob last week, or was that week before last?
Oh, it's hard to remember.
Yeah, I know, too many books. Shout out to Von Gloom, who says, I'm assuming that's son of a James Gunn. I missed the My Adventures. I'm interpreting that from what you said. Von Gloom. I missed the My Adventures with Superman discussion. You also missed the Supergirl discussion, but I don't know if you had just watched that anyway. So yeah, we talked about it. It's back there. For myself, though, Doomquest is kind of strong. Superman also particularly interesting out of what I had already picked. So, I mean, in his own right, Moonstar, because I always love that character. So, just to see what they do with her is always good. I wish I had finished that Magic book because I did not know she had showed up in it, but I had started that book but didn't finish it for whatever odd reason going into it, which has nothing to do with, I'm assuming has nothing to do with Magic and Colossus, but I'm pretty sure something got, he was like, yeah, I got into this. Just, I don't know, type situation. But what's that?
I was about to say, just as a quick addendum, that Jay and Silent Bob, Jay's of Future Past was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay,
It does feel like last week.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Like everything does.
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, so it is that. But regardless, in the month, how about that? We'll in the last 2 weeks, a Kevin Smith book. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Doomquest number 2 of 10. Like I said, the other couple of books that I mentioned, I appreciate it.
Listen,
And
Ryan North is doing excellent work right now.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
definitely doing stuff that we are fans of. So I'm not surprised by that.
yeah, that is indeed true. That is indeed true. And with that, we are going to go into the cinematic news. But first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of this episode is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us, that's cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today! And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news as we do about this time. First up, Daredevil Born Again Season 3 set photos revealed the return of a dead Marvel Netflix character. And indeed. And from what I've read in yes. And from what I've read in this article, it is not the one that people are lobbying for that showed up at the end of that basically showed up in flashback. So according to this article, and I will go ahead and spoil it, it's going to be one Elodie Young, aka Electra Nachos, apparently is showing up, which actually kind of makes sense because hey, that character has come back from the dead a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
So if that indeed happens here, sure, why not? That character actually was pretty good. So Vine Gloom said, did you guys enjoy Supergirl? I am more interested in seeing that fracking Bastage, the main man, the last Lobo.
The last Zarnian. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, short answer, I would say go back and listen, but short answer, yes.
Yeah. Like enjoy might be too strong a word, but definitely it was the word I use is serviceable.
Yeah. So there is like I said, for the rest of that, you can go back and check that out. But also, Von Gloop says, if Matt survived the cave-in as a regular person, redacted definitely survived. Well. Oh right, that did happen. I guess that happened in Defenders or whatever. I still hadn't finished that, but I saw what happened with that. I mean, yeah, but also, I mean, given who she's associated with, it makes sense, and what they sometimes end up doing. So it makes a whole lot of sense. But regardless, that's that. Next up,
after 2 years of waiting, I wasn't waiting with bated breath. X-Men 97 Season 2 is almost here. The revival of the classic Marvel animated series premiered in 2024 to wide acclaim, maybe not for me, and ended on a massive cliffhanger. The good news is that the wait is over. Season 2 will premiere with 3 episodes on July 1. Damn, that's like right around the corner. 3 episodes on July 1st. Polygon watched the first 4 episodes out of 9. And the season is shaping up in this editorial to be better than anybody could have imagined. Like I said, I've never been a fan of X-Men the Animated Series the way I was of Batman the Animated Series, because I thought they butchered a lot of the adaptations of the classic X-Men storylines. But I'm much more connected to the X-Men storytelling, in comic book format. So, bottom line here, though, is that we're going to get 3 up front on July 1st, and we will go from there. We get the titles of the first, of all of the episodes. The first 3 episodes are titled Days of Past Future. First episode, the second episode is A Force to be Reckoned With, and the third episode is Rise of Apocalypse Part 1.
I was going to say it's curious that they did that, but I understand why they did it, because as Agent 70 just said, the third episode is a part 1 of 2, so they wanted to leave it on a cliffhanger,
right?
To kind of got people in it. But I feel like we kind of sort of know a thing that might have been teased in the trailer is going to happen. But we'll see if that is actually the case, and it'll probably be more than likely in that third episode. So we'll see. Wonder what. So I think he got fired before season 2. So unless they brought him back on for some reason, but I think he got fired before season 2.
Right.
And I remember him talking about what he had planned to do in season 2. But I don't think he has anything in season 2 that stuck. So therein lies that.
Well, I mean, he probably had like some relative creative influence on season 2, just from like the overall, like from an overall perspective. But
Right.
I don't think there's going to be any of that stuff left as of season 3. But we'll see what comes out in the news.
Yeah. We'll or next week when it pops up, when it happens.
Right.
Well, for season 2, but for season 3, like you just said, yeah, we'll see where they go from there. Should they win or should they that happen? Next up, though, hey, speaking of Supergirl takes off with 7.8 million in previews. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much all. Apparently, it earned 13 million globally as of this point. So, and again, we are recording this the day after the preview, actually on the first official day that the movie is out. So the box office is going to look a little different at the next time we talk about it, or should we talk about it next week?
Right. This article includes the money we put in.
Yes, basically. It also mentions other stuff that's already been out, like Toy Story 5, which I heard somebody talk about while I was at my theater. But
listen, I've heard good things about that. I kind of need to make time to go see Toy Story 5.
Yeah, apparently from what I heard, and from from that little bit I overheard in the theater, or after got out of Supergirl, like, yeah, I haven't heard much bad about it. Which, considering most folks are like, what do we need a Toy Story 5 for? They could have ended at 3 or 4, blah 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 blah. But I'm sure they still went and they still went and saw this. So
right.
Von Globe says, "Oh, okay, phew, no more whitewashed brown characters." We don't. I wouldn't say that. We don't know that. It might be more, given the case. So yeah. So let's not be too hasty with that. But that being the case, next up.
Alrighty. Let's see. Warner Brothers is bringing the Batman Nightfall comic book story to animation in a trio of animated features. The first trailer for the trilogy was released at the Annecy Animation Film Festival last week. In the trailer, we find out like who's additions to the cast. This is the Nightfall story. This is when Batman gets his back broken by one Bane, who I have not watched this trailer, but I don't think he's speaking in sing-songy voice. So you know, I'll have to watch this and see or hear what Bane sounds like and see how this all plays out.
Right. So, definitely not the only news that we will be getting. Actually, it might be the next one up. It should be the next one up. Actually, it is the next one up. But Von Gloom says, we're gonna have Toy Story 17. Yeah, if Disney has their way, probably. Because Pixar notably said a long time ago they weren't going to do sequels, and look what that happened. Disney said, "You better get us some money. We'll do what the heck we tell you." Also, Von Gloom says, "Finally, Azrael. Wonder if a Sword of Azrael movie is around the corner." I know what story they need to be doing, and other folks would want them to be doing. But for right now, we're going to get into the fact that Absolute Batman, Krypto, and a Joker anime. All three of those are anime, by the way, which I probably should have had this in down the line, but it's fine. Were announced at NNC Showcase, which tends to happen. So yeah, I know. So yeah, we get an Absolute Batman anime. Some people have been out there calling for an Absolute Wonder Woman one, which, you know what? Hey, if that story is as good as folks say it is, and I don't have any reason to believe it, I would want to see that. But
it is good. It
yeah,
should be.
Again, I'm not doubting it. Like I said, you are not you both of y'all are not the only ones who I've heard say that. So it's like, I need to read it for myself. But like I said, Joker Laugh Riot is the Joker anime that is coming. Absolute Batman is another one, and a Krypto series by SpongeBob alum C.H. Greenblatt. So can imagine how that one's going to be. Apparently, this stuff was announced by Peter Safran, co-chair of DC Studios, and Sam Register, president of Warner Brothers Animation.
It looks like the Joker project is the anime.
I believe all those.
I'm just reading this. I'm just reading this article. So the Joker project is the anime, and it looks like Absolute Batman and Krypto might be slightly different, maybe the traditional DC animated style, but we'll see.
Maybe I mean, you're right about the Joker one, but I have seen another article that wasn't here that also mentioned those other two, but in anime form. But you very much could be right, and those could be wrong, because they were not necessarily the sources I would actually normally go to.
Right.
So
no, I get it. I'm just reading this. This article's from Variety, so I'm just reading it as I'm working through the article. So that's the way it looks to me.
Yeah, so that's probably that could very well be the case. Also, they mentioned actually I still never watched that Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim thing.
Same, neither have I.
But they mentioned somebody who is attached to one of these that is involved with apparently the Joker one. So there you go. But next up. Well, before you get into that one, hold on. Von Gloom, so we talked about My Adventures with Superman and the tie there, but no other news outside of that. I mean, we had already talked about, that show was coming, so I have not seen any other news about that outside of what we talked about with My Adventures with Superman. Also, Von Gloom says, wow, they got to do the beg for mercy, scream by name, or I will break you, Justice. Also says that I guess the Suicide Squad anime didn't do well enough for a second season. I feel like those words you just mentioned probably tells the tale right there, but I haven't watched it, so who knows. Next, and Lord of the Rings, Von Gloom also says the Lord of the Rings anime was good, so that's good to hear. Okay. But news.
All right, Invincible has been renewed for season 6 at Prime Video. Let's see. The adaptation of the Robert Kirkman graphic novel, starring J.K. Simmons, Sandra Oh, and Steven Yeun, has been greenlit for a sixth season, with the 5th still months from airing, or the remaining half of the 5th still months from airing. Season 4. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I have no idea how many seasons there are of this because the release schedule is all whacked.
Right.
So the 5th is still months from right. Exactly. Right. Season 4 is just wrapped, and the 5th is still is getting ready to come out, and now it's been renewed for a 6th season. We'll see how long it goes.
Yeah. I mean, if we've said it before, Kirkman had been out there saying like he could go 10 seasons if he really, really wanted to. So will Amazon give them that? I don't see why not, but we'll see for ourselves. Avant Glom also says, I guess the Lord of the Rings anime, great voice acting and animation. Prime Video isn't letting go of that cash cow, especially with the end of the boys. That's probably true, but they also have a ton of other stuff that they shovel out. So, but yeah, you're right. You're basically right about that. Next up, though, Magic School Bus live action movie with Elizabeth Banks as Miss Frizzle lands Detective Pikachu director. Those are some words strung together. So first off, we're getting a live action Magic School Bus movie or something. I don't know if it's a movie or I'm assuming, yeah, it does say movie. Elizabeth Banks as Frizzle. We don't need another live action thing, but unfortunately, this is not the only live action thing we're going to be talking about during the course of this show. Once we get into the anime news, unfortunately. So Legendary Entertainment has acquired the rights from Universal, which initially yada yada. Let's see, Rob Letterman, not that Letterman, not Letterman either, has signed on to write and direct a film. So if y'all don't know what the Magic School Bus is, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Y'all had a bad childhood or something. Or just didn't hear it. I mean, you might have had a good childhood, just you might have been past the prime, but you still heard of what the Magic School Bus was if you had youngers around. Regardless, therein lies that. Next up.
I'm like, what?
You never watched Magic School Bus?
No, sorry.
Not even your
nobody around.
Well, she would be actually. She would have seen the reboot.
That was long after.
Yeah.
Right, that was long after. Anyway, next up, Deadline reports that Jason Momoa has departed the upcoming Helldivers live-action adaptation, which is currently slated to hit theaters on November 10th, 2027. The reason behind his abrupt exit has not been revealed, but Sony is determined to get the project off the ground, and a search for a new lead is now underway. The film is set to be directed by Justin Lin, who did Fast 5 and other Fast and the Furious movies, based on a script by Gary Dauberman. Helldivers is now in pre-production, with filming expected to begin sometime this year. Helldivers is a great game. I don't know what you really need. If you really need like a name person to lead that movie, but we'll see.
Well, I'll go even further than that, because first of all, if anybody knows what Helldivers is about, and I know Agent 70 has recently found out, it's basically Starship Troopers,
right,
in a way. So we already got that. And a few different times, because I know there's some direct-to-DVD stuff that Casper Van Diem has come back for, and it'd be real some funny if he ends up doing this. But I would really like to know what the heck would pull Jason Momoa off of a project, much less a project like this. And part of me thought, is the Justin Lin thing? Is he siding with Vin Diesel? What's going on here? But I doubt that's the case. The man's gonna be in Street Fighter in a few months, or I mean, it's already been in the can. But you know, that's a thing that's coming down the pike. Von Glim says somebody says Tracy Ellis Ross could have played Miss Frizzle, and I could definitely see it. Honestly, I would probably sit for that one, quite possibly. But next up, we get into some anime news. Netflix's new sci-fi western could be the Blue Eye Samurai replacement we've been waiting for. But that's putting a lot. Let's not slow that down. But the show is called, actually, technically it might not be heavily. It is. Whatever. Bass Ex Machina is a weird western spinoff of the story of the real-life hero Bass Reeves, an escaped slave who becomes the first black deputy U.S. Marshal. Excuse me. In a minute-long clip shown that Anansi Bass uses his cyborg arm to catch a bullet from a minigun fired by an outlaw using from aboard a moving train. I'm saying this slow for a reason, so I want you to so y'all can soak this in. All while protecting innocent bystanders. His arm also turns into a gun. He uses fire back. It goes on from there. We don't have to go through this whole thing. But if any of that sounds good to you, that is coming at some point. I don't. Oh yes, it is. Bass Ex Machina premieres on November 3rd of this year, apparently, because they didn't put any other years beside it. And the title character is being played by Brian Tyree Henry of course, Atlanta and Eternals fame, and other things. So, the show was created by LaShawn Thomas, who I believe didn't he do Cannon Breakers? Can't remember, but I've seen that name around. But according to this, it says the Legend of Korra and Black Dynamite. So there you go. You might know those two properties. So yeah. Not anime Michael B. Jordan. Bungaloom says anime Michael B. Jordan, but also he got Trag Fade and the Steve Harvey mustache. You need to be stopped. Next up.
Next up, this is what I believe Roddykat was referring to earlier. Netflix is producing a live-action Gundam movie, with this being in the vein of its other recent live-action anime adaptations. Let's see here. Yeah, this is a pretty. This article dives deep into what the implications are. I'm looking for details, but we don't have many details just yet.
Right. Yeah, that's, Supergirl loves to, I guess they pay by the letter or something. I don't know. Fun Glimpse says, boo, tomato. Yeah, whenever I first read this, I'm like, we don't need this. I mean, don't get me wrong. CG graphics are pretty good right now, so that part at least should be halfway decent if they get money behind them. But
right. Imagine all the Gundam models that they'd be selling. My goodness.
I mean, continue to sell basically. And if they're doing Mobile Suit Gundam, so they're doing Umbro, so they're doing RX-78, and they're doing Goths and whatever else show up in that series. I guess, but if they, you know what? No, I don't want them fucking up Wing. Let me hush. They'll probably end up doing that though. So yeah, that's the thing. Regardless, we're gonna push on to the comic book news. Is that the Sabrina Carpenter? I still don't exactly know who Sabrina Carpenter is. Like, I've been told, and I still don't know. Like, I know she's got a song. She's a singer. She's got a song with Madonna.
Right, she's a pop singer.
Yeah, but yeah, and that drink she got with Dunkin' Donuts is actually pretty good. But outside of that, I still don't really. Either way, comic book news. But I don't know if that's that movie or not, Von Gloom, and I'm not gonna go back and check. Adventure Time Halloween special is coming. Wait,
September. Did you skip a story?
I don't think. It could have happened. No, I did not. What did I miss?
You didn't do that story after Netflix?
Oh, that's not even supposed to be there, honestly. So.
Oh, okay. Because I'm looking at that. I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, I've never even heard of this restaurant.
Yeah, no, that was in the wrong place. That's actually going down at the bottom.
Got it.
So no, I missed nothing then. So you had me worried for a second because this happened. But yeah, nothing else to tell. Adventure Time's got another Oni Press one shot Halloween special. It's going to be 48 pages, written by Jeremy Malol, whatever. Sorry, not whatever. I don't mean to be flipping about dude's name. Hopefully I didn't mess up your name too much though. Basically, Adam Seitz. And this finds Finn and Jake in their trickiest situation yet as it arrives on, as I said earlier, September 30th, and there is the cover if you're watching the video version. Next up, and it's gonna be $7.99. Next up.
One moment. I was too busy reading the story that was out of place. Firefly.
Hold on. Let me address this in the chat real quick. If they do G Gundam, that's fine because that's bonkers anyway. So they can't possibly they could mess it up, but they couldn't possibly. as bonkers as G Gundam is already, that actually might be entertaining. Put it that way. Anyway, back to the news.
Firefly is back in comics form. Writer Mark Russell and artist Lorenzo Ray invite you aboard the Firefly class spaceship Serenity for all new Renegade adventures. So, while it lasted only one season, the 2002 sci-fi Firefly show about a ragtag crew of smugglers has maintained a loyal fan base. Now, Boom Studios originally acquired the Firefly comic license back in 2018, but did not renew it last year. But now Dynamite announced that it's acquired the right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yada yada yada. I'm trying to piece this together. So now so Dynamite Entertainment has announced a new Firefly comic series from this from the aforementioned creative team of Mark Russell and artist Lorenzo Ray. Firefly #1 arrives in comic shops on Wednesday, September 2nd, 2026. Okay.
Right, because I believe they have the Firefly and the Buffy license as well. So there's, because I feel like there's a Buffy book. I know there was a Buffy book that was announced that's possibly from Dynamite. I can't remember. But regardless, I liked Firefly, despite who was attached, is attached to it. That was actually a pretty good series. And I mean behind the scenes, not, starring in it, because actually it was a pretty good cast too. Only one halfway problematic person in that, from what I understand. Either way, Invader Zim publishing rights have been acquired by Boom Studios, who promises classic stories and new original content. This is for y'all's 90s kids who grew up on Invader Zim. But apparently that is the thing. They're going to have a comic book that... I love how the IGN story says, for more from Boom Studios, which also is known for Keanu Reeves' Berserker, something is killing the children and Lumberjanes, and Power Rangers, of course. They bring up something else called, I forgot they had to expand. They also have a reveal of another kaiju miniseries that I might look into if it's news enough. But yeah, this article goes into Invader Zim. If folks who know, I'm looking for a date as to when this is, of a book is going to happen, and I don't see one. But just know there's going to be an Invader Zim comic book next up.
Alrighty.
And probably other stuff.
Space Ghost versus the Herculoids is launching in September 2026. From Dynamite, reuniting writer David Pepose and artist Jonathan Lau, the crossover pits Space Ghost, Jan, and Jace against Xandor and the Herculoids after a quasar-right-fueled Federation crisis. A hidden planet invasion sparks tragedy and revenge, sending both heroic families toward a high-stakes intergalactic clash. Space Ghosts versus the Herculoids #1 arrives September 16th, 2026, setting up Space Ghost Season 3 and a major new threat, and another book for Roddykat to add to his reading list.
I mean, he's right. He's absolutely right. I read the Herculoids book. Actually, I need to go back because I don't think I've finished reading the last couple, and that ended after 10 issues. Space Ghost is still going on, as Agent 70 says. It's got a season 3 coming on, which means they're going to renumber the book again, starting from 1, as they've been doing the last couple of volumes. So, which I kind of hate that, because they could have really just kept it going. But it's hey, money is money, and I get what they're kind of doing here, I guess, sort of, with this. At least it makes somewhat halfway sense with this, sort of. So, Von Gloom, the question you should be really asking yourself is: are we getting the Teen Force? Because Galaxy Trio is a very, very deep cut, even with those characters. I would rather have I asked David Pepose on Twitter, like, hey, what about Team Force? He was like, yeah, that would be a good thing, wouldn't it? Just basically was my answer. So to have this much Space Ghost and Johnny Quest still floating out there as no, because the Johnny Quest book is gone also. And there was also a crossover with Space Ghost. And that. So this is the second one of those. I want a Team Force. I don't know. I'm probably asking for something that probably shouldn't happen. But as long as we're not getting Astro and the Space Mutts, I think we're good. That being said, do we have a date for this? September 16th, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So Yeah, as H7 has already said, and yeah, I will absolutely. I'm sure my poll will pick this up, given that Space Ghost is already on it. So next up, though, superhero team takes lead in 3 new DC Next Level series, and those books are Legion of Superheroes because they're bringing that back, Teen Titans, and Doom Patrol. So DC Comics has announced those 3 books, all featuring superhero themes and all launching on September the 2nd, 2026. Legion of Superheroes will be written by the ever busy Joshua Williamson and artist Hayden Sherman. I added the ever busy part because he's on a good bit of books. They already did the Blue Park and the Dino book, Von Gloom, actually, so you missed that.
Oh, that's tough. Are they taking Hayden Sherman off of whatchamacallit, Absolute Wonder Woman? That's terrible news.
I mean, I don't know. What's his process like? You think he can handle a couple of books like that, or
no idea? But a team book is always going to be more strenuous than a regular solo book, so a single hero book. So
yeah,
that's tough.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's a little synopsis here. There's a 40 issue 1 apparently, and it's going and the main cover is going to be by Sherman and a bunch of variant covers, of course. Let's see. Teen Titans will be, because you got to say it like that, will be written by Kyle Higgins with artist Danielle DiNiccolo, which kicks off with Fair Play, Cheshire Cat, Proxy, and Wildcard searching for another team member. So it's not even going to be any of the teams, the Titans or even wasn't even that, not even going to be that last bunch that had Damian and them with it. So this is a brand new team. So let's see. So yeah, the Titans are forced to team up with Red Hood to find out a missing friend. That's a whole thing. And then the Doom Patrol is being written by Darcy Van Polgeist. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. And artist Nico Henrikon, Either way, I probably butchered it. And starts with Robot Girl, Elastic Girl, and Negative Man going through a rough time by hiring themselves out. And then a search for a missing cat turning into an otherworldly situation. So yeah, if you're interested in any of those books, then you know what? September the 2nd might have something you are interested in. Von Gloom says that they are doing both. Oh, Hayden Sherman's doing both of those books, according to Von Gloom. I think Kelly Thompson confirmed that they are doing art for both books. Oh, Kelly Thompson confirmed that
right. Kelly Thompson writes Absolute Wonder Woman.
Right.
So, yeah.
He is so confirmed that they're doing art, that Sherman is doing art for both those books.
Yeah, because that would have been my first reaction, upon reading this news. Like, whoa. That's definitely one of the big draws of reading the Absolute Wonder Woman book. So
right, the art,
having like a steady art, having a steady art team on it. So
right, but here's hoping he won't slip. Is it a he? Right?
I don't know if it's a he or they.
I said all of that and I was like, wait a minute, let me not gender the person. I don't know. I have not seen them, seen or heard of them. I mean, I've heard of them, but not seen them. Regardless, they hopefully, yeah, we'll see. Next up, though.
So this is something that I saw that I need to put some money down on a Kickstarter. Let's see. Where do I start reading this? So Marvel Artist Archive Jim Lee will be a 300-page oversized 9x12 hardcover tome published by Pan Universal Galactic Worldwide, Pug W for short, in partnership with Marvel Comics. This deal apparently is no doubt due to Pug W founder John Nee, who is known to some people who are close to this show, who low-key has been one of the biggest power players in the modern superhero comics world, from being president of Jim Lee's Wildstorm production in the 90s, a vice president at DC in the aughts, and then being Marvel Comics publisher from 2018 to 2021. Marvel Artist Archive Jim Lee will be written by former DC and Marvel editor Stuart Moore. Let's see. This is the first first comprehensive collection of Lee's Marvel era work, and will be a great companion to the DC Comics The Art of Jim Lee Volume 1 previously released, that I do have as well. So this is taking pre-orders via Kickstarter, launching July 14th. So I sent this story to Roddykat, thinking that the Kickstarter was up, but it is not. So July 14th is when that Kickstarter goes live. Right. I signed up to be reminded to back this project because I definitely want to get a copy of this.
But also good to get that news out earlier, just in case there are other people who be like, "Hey, ooh, you know, I'd be interested in this," so they can get in the know. Also, Von Gloom, thank you for that. Von Gloom says that Kelly Thompson uses they them for Hayden on her forums. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. But yeah, I'm actually kind of almost interested in this. Like I'm not sitting here saying I'm not a fan of Jim Lee's art, but I was less out of the time where he was big in the 90s, basically, when he did like New X-Men and all that but I am aware of his prowess, so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, also, I mean, listen, this is this is like his Marvel era for me is the best part. His best art. I'm not as big a fan of his DC art, but the Marvel era stuff, that's foundational for me. Because that came on the heels of this is the stuff that led to the founding of Image Comics, right? This is what got this era of Marvel comics, of Marvel art, is the era that led directly into Image Comics, and like I said, foundational for me. So,
and also I was going to make a joke. I wonder who this person that Agent 70 mentioned, who is familiar with a friend of the show, or who is the friend of the show that he was referring to. I think we all know the answer to that. Yeah, we don't have to say it.
Yes.
But next up, mark 25 years of Marvel Mangaverse with a brand new weekly series. This also could have been probably put in a different place, but that's fine. The Age of Superheroes has come to the end, of the Marvel Mangaverse still needs saving, according to this media press release here on the site. So there's going to be 2 books. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. No, I take that back. Reverse that. It's going to be a series of 5 one-shots, weekly, releasing weekly throughout September in celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Marvel Mangaverse. Marvel, as I was saying, Marvel. Marking that my Marvel Mangaverse Web of Blood #1 and Marvel Mangaverse Web of Destiny #1, a 2-part story co-written by the father-son duo of Joe and Jack Kelly, with art by Kenny Ruiz. So remember, first, the other way to get into comic books is to have a person that is already there get you in. Anyway, let's see. Kenny Ruiz, as I said, that kicks off a dramatic apocalyptic event reverberating into each weekly one-shot, according to this article. Let's see. The specials pay homage to modern manga storytelling while introducing new versions of fan-favorite Marvel characters and focusing on deep world-building lore, according to this article. So yeah, there you go. Next up.
Alrighty, next up, Marvel Comics is launching a new Midnight line on October 7th, featuring interconnected titles that promise bold storytelling and a darker twist on beloved characters. We're going to get the 3 titles: Midnight X-Men, Midnight Fantastic Four, and Midnight Spider-Man. They're going to hit stands together, arriving on October 7th as the only new Marvel Comics released that day. Okay.
Give it some room, I guess. Go give these some room. Also, every time I see about this, I just keep thinking Absolute Blood Hunt.
Yeah, right?
Or Ultimate Blood Hunt. Whichever one. They both apply. They both can apply.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I'm obviously we're going to check this out, but especially I can't speak for Agent 70 on this one, but I think we're probably going to end up checking out Midnight X-Men because it's Hickman.
Right. And at the end of the day, since these will be the only Marvel comics being released on that day,
there is also
we're probably going to be talking about them on the show.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that. unless for some reason, odd reason, we don't get copies, and I doubt that. But anyway, you can see the covers there, and also just like variant covers as well. So yeah, there you go. If you're watching the video version, there you go. Marvel. Wait, this is you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, this is me. This is me because you did the last one.
Yes.
Marvel gives Miles Morales a new Spider-Man series and a classic costume for 2026. AKA, he's going back to the red and black, and thank goodness.
The original red and black.
Yes, specifically. If he gave him the Spider-Verse hoodie, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I know it's not going to happen. Regardless, so IGN has this article, which is also doubles as an interview with Brian Edward Hill, aka former guest of the show, who is writing Miles Morales' Spider-Man. So you can definitely want to check that out. And the artist will be Nico Leon. I'm pretty sure when this was announced, we talked about all of that regardless. But you can see some preview pages from the book if you check out this story. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the preview pages that I have flipped through real quick. So yeah, looking forward to see Miles back in hopefully classic form. Next up.
All right, this November, specifically November 4th, there's going to be a new relaunch of Avengers. Avengers #1 drops that day. This is going to spin out of Avengers Armageddon. And apparently Avengers is going to emerge in a dramatically transformed Marvel universe. And it looks interesting. There are, the lineup as of now is Luke Cage, Captain Marvel, Daredevil, Wolverine, and Spider-Man. Very much a new Avengers type of lineup. And we're talking about a big launch that's going to involve I hate to say more blind bags. Boo. So the Avengers #1 True Believers blind bags will only contain exclusive variant covers not available for regular ordering. The main cover and regular open to order variant covers cannot be found in True Believers blind bags. So, okay, at least, if you're going to get a blind bag, you're not going to get the A cover. And I think we talked about this before on the show, but I'm very happy about that because I have definitely pulled A covers by when buying a blind bag, and that just annoyed me.
I also mentioned this before when this was announced, and going off of what Von Gloom just said. So yes, this is a very Bendis as Avengers lineup. So yes. I said that when we first talked about this, and it very much still holds true. Also, is weird because I remember a classic issue of Avengers where they were doing a recruitment drive, and Bendis was, not Bendis, and Daredevil was like, I can't join you all, but he didn't really give you his reasons, and partially that reason was just like, now all y'all would confuse my senses. Yeah. So I would love to see, and clearly that was a long, long time ago. So I'm pretty sure that may not be a factor here, but or it will be, and that would be real fun if it is, but I doubt it. So, but yeah, this Bendis ass lineup is coming for us, whether we want it or not. Next up, though. Von Gloom also said it'd be funny if they were confused about Gambit because of his red eyes and attempted to stake him. Yeah, times are times. Next up, though, Marvel sends the X-Men back to the 80s with new Alexander Lozano variant covers. I probably should have showed one of them when it talked about X-Men Outback, because one of them happened then, if I'm not mistaken. Might be wrong about that, or is coming with one of the issues. So yeah, I think it's coming actually, so I didn't miss it. So yeah, Marvel's revealed the covers. If you are, or some of the covers, if you are on if you're watching the video version, you can see them. There's the Rogue one with the pinball. That's nice with the with the cover on the table. There's the Storm one.
The Storm one is nice.
Yeah, I like the Storm one. The Wolverine one is funny as hell. And the Colossus one. If you're watching
The Colossus one is good too. That's pretty dramatic.
Yeah. So how come you don't lift, bro? Bro, excuse me, if he's Russian. So also that Wonder Man in the corner, that's funny. So yeah, those are going to be doled out next month. So we'll probably see those starting next week. There's 6 other covers in all, and they're starting to come out next month. So for various books. Next up,
Marvel has unveiled another batch of variant covers for Amazing Spider-Man number 1000, offering fans a fresh look at the milestone issue ahead of its September release. Arriving in comic shops on September 16th, the landmark issue marks a major turning point in Joe Kelly's current run, while celebrating Spider-Man's legacy with a collection of anniversary stories from legendary creators. Marvel also clarified that the issue will feature 2 primary covers. One is a painted collaboration between John Romita Jr. and Paolo Rivera, while the other is an all-new cover by current Amazing Spider-Man artist Pepe Larraz. According to editor Nick Lowe, the second cover was added to further emphasize the significance of issue number 1000 and bring together as many iconic Spider-Man artists as possible. If you've been privy to some of the online hullabaloo, there was some talk about the Romita Jr. cover.
mm-hmm.
I think that stuff is just silly, but people are gonna internet.
Yeah,
The internet people are gonna internet.
Yeah, I actually almost had put that in story in, and that's even seeing this, I'm like, I'm not putting that in there. But yeah, that was a whole thing that happened, I guess. So yeah, I'm flipping through the covers if watching the video version. There's a very subdued J. Scott Campbell cover.
Relatively.
Yes.
I mean, I pulled that cover also. I like
Did
that.
you?
I like the design of the cover
Mm-hmm.
because he's putting faces inside the interlocking webs
Mm-hmm.
on Spider-Man's mask, and I thought that was a nice touch. I thought that was a good design. That was a good design choice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, it could double as a Marvel vs. Capcom type situation.
Mm.
If it were to go there. But yeah, like I said, I flipped through the covers. We don't if you're watching the video version, if you're not, you should. Toy news. Marvel Legends Green Goblin Spider-Man movie figure is up for pre-order, which at this point is probably if not sold out, then it's probably still out there. So this is the Willem Dafoe Green Goblin by the by, and it's out there if you want it. You can see the figure in the box, the accoutrement, the back of the box, all of that. And there's figures, of course, posed. So yeah. Wait, how much is it? It's probably standard price, but just to be
let's not go with the quote standard price. Only because Marvel Legends are expensive now.
I mean, but usually the standard price, but they don't really change price all that much unless it's something a bigger figure or something.
No, but this has what I was gonna say is this has extra stuff
show
with
it.
the collider. So my guess is that this is probably $59.99.
Close.
So
55 according to Amazon.
Oh, 55. Oh, look at that.
So I was close.
Yeah.
And actually that link just goes all over the place. So yeah. So yeah, we got a price according to Amazon. So there you go. There. Like next up though.
All right. Well, I was gonna say that's not for me, but listen, for all of you completionists and Marvel movie fans, have at it. Next up, Darkseid goes all in with the new San Diego Comic-Con 2026 Beast Kingdom exclusive. So this is a dynamic action heroes exclusive inspired by DC's All In special. The 8-inch Darkseid figure features a black and red fabric suit, removable hooded cloak, and detailed comic-accurate sculpt. Darkseid includes interchangeable hands and a signature axe-style left hand for dynamic posing in the in the dynamic action hero lineup, limited to 1,000 pieces worldwide. The San Diego Comic-Con 2026 Darkside exclusive goes up for pre-order June 25th for $96.
Darkseid is expensive.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can see the figure right there if you are looking at the video version. There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go, and there you go. Next up, is that Mafex or Mafex? Or what, is that how you pronounce that? Mafex?
I think it's Mayfex, but
Mayfex?
I listen. I've honestly never asked anyone, so
Mhm.
I couldn't tell you for sure.
Either way, we're gonna go with Mayfex for the time being. So there are two figures coming up, and that is Superman and Wonder Woman and Hush Superman specifically, I guess. And these are version 1.5 releases, adding some new accessories to the release. Let's see. Oh, so I guess the Hush Superman is a re-release, and the Wonder Woman is a new figure. Pre-orders of these figures are expected to go live. I guess they should be live, but I don't see they were not live as of me getting this article. So I'm not sure how much the pre-orders are, and I'm not gonna go looking. Oh, I'll go looking at some other time, but not now. Next up.
I actually, when I was reading that article, I was like, wait a second, I got last year's Beast Kingdom exclusive figures.
Mhm.
So I got the Batman Beast Kingdom exclusive figure from when I went to San Diego last year, and I also got the Superman Beast Kingdom exclusive figure. So that's kind of
Wait,
cool
put that
that
back
they have.
There you go. There you go. Wanted to give it a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. Cool.
Sure, that's the Batman, and the Superman is a little bit more Kingdom Come-esque. You can see the black S
Mhm.
on his
Yep.
chest. So, but yeah, I did get these Beast Kingdom figures. These are not. Actually, I think the capes are cloth. The costumes are not. So that is a difference between these and the Darkseid figure. But the capes, I believe, are cloth. Do you think I opened these? No. But yeah, I did get these Beast Kingdom exclusives at San Diego last year. Anyway, getting back to the show. Give me a second. Invincible Super 7 San Diego Comic-Con 2026 exclusive Battle Beast. So we've got more exclusives coming out of San Diego. Super 7 has begun announcing their San Diego Comic-Con 2026 exclusives. Their first figure reveal is the first reveal of a new license for the show. They will be offering a Battle Beast Ultimates figure. Super 7 released a video announcing the 7-inch scale figure of Battle Beast. Lots of cool accessories, different one different head, a couple of hands, and lots of weapons. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they are really pushing Battle Beast. But hey, sure. Next up though, so Cataclysm Arcade is a weird, clever TCG that has already won IGN's heart, apparently. So all know me, I like card games. We'll be talking about one in a little bit. Excuse me, pardon. So apparently there's a new card game that is coming out, designed by Brian David Marshall. I believe we have called him BDM because he has been on the show before.
Yes.
And Jay Van Hoy, and published by their company, Mothership Games. This new game is aiming to make an approachable and easy to jump into card game that also offers some creative tweaks and surprises to the traditional TCG formula. So IGN has had a chance to check it out, and you can see some card art here if you're watching the video version. So there is that if you are interested. If you are familiar with Magic and or any other TCGs of the like, you may be you may find yourself being able to grasp what's going on here, I think, fairly easily. Next up.
Alrighty, next up.
So let me go ahead and caveat this while Age of 70 gets ready. Yes, this is not comic book news.
No, but this is something that this is almost fantasy related because nobody ever thought this was gonna happen.
Oh, we knew it was gonna happen. We just
Yeah, but a lot of people, we've gotten a lot of things before we got this announcement, right? That's kind of the running. It's a meme. Right. It's a running joke, right? So the latest installment in Rockstar's Entertainment's blockbuster game franchise, Grand Theft Auto, is set to be the biggest game launch of this year. Grand Theft Auto 6 becomes available to pre-order at midnight on June 25th in the UK, so it's already up there, and elsewhere around the world after Rockstar revealed the game's pre-sale launch date and cover art this past week. GTA 6 will be released on November 19th. Folks, so
pretty much what most folks were waiting on, and the price, which people have already been had groused about when it was rumored about what the price would be. But also, I've also seen people been like, "I'm going to order the Ultimate Edition," which is exactly that price. So people were
right. So here's the pricing for all of you who don't know and don't play or may play. I do not play this game. I've played it once or twice before on other people's machines, and I was like, yeah, okay. But I know some people love like LUVE love playing this game. It's going to cost $79.99 in the United States. With an Ultimate Edition, it's going to feature extra vehicles and weapons. That's going to be priced at $99, 100 bills, yo. So, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know. Have fun contacting anyone that loves playing GTA 6 after November 19th.
There is a little bit more to it, actually. But this is another article that is not in there. So the PC version doesn't seem to be coming at launch. So this is going to be just for consoles, so Xbox, PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it does say that much in this book. Yes, so PlayStation and Xbox. So they do, and of course the online wasn't talked that much about, which means may or may not be coming at launch either. But that's not surprising either. The price. You know what? Some of us who have sense knew that this was going to be the price. There's no way that we're going to do the standard version at $100, like some people were like that was going around at one time. But we knew there was going to be probably a $100 version, and sure enough, there is. And of course, again, just like I said, people, those nutsos, yes, I'm judging who are going to pay it. So, and then people are going to complain why so much, but they're still going to buy it. That's a whole nother situation in itself. And probably may or may not have to pay for the online version when it comes out. I doubt that part, seriously. And it sounds like physical copies of the game will contain a code for a digital download of the game inside of a box instead of a disc. So it's just basically going to be just a code. So you're so don't think you're getting a physical copy. You're just getting a box with a code in it. Also, if you're a physical collector. So yeah, therein lies that, folks. Next up, back to actual comic book news. And toy news. Another Enterprise nacelle nacelle company teases another version of the Enterprise, basically. So which version is this? Looks like it is, doesn't really say, huh? It's a 1/10 scale action figure line that's going to come out at San Diego Comic-Con. So I guess this is a teaser for what they're going to announce there. Yada 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 yada. Yep, it seems to be pretty much that. So there you go. And there's a message from Nacelle CEO Brian Falk-Weiss. I would like to see when the next season of The Toys That Made Us is coming out. Give me that news. Thank you. Next.
It looks like the build a figure is kind of a build a set. You can build. I guess what they're aiming for is building a bridge, a Starship bridge playset. actually a great idea.
Which honestly, yeah, exactly. For that and for that crowd, that is absolutely great.
You know, that's going to
should work.
make you get the entire wave of figures so you can build the particular Starship bridge set. What a great idea.
Yeah, and
I
chances
mean,
are
I
those
mean,
folks were going to do
feel
that
bad
anyway.
for those folks. Right, exactly. I feel bad for those folks because they got to dish out the extra bucks for maybe characters they don't care for. You know, that's the way I feel when I'm roped into getting a Build-A-Figure. You know, getting an entire wave because I want to build a Build-A-Figure. You know, shout out to Amadeus Cho because I did not want to get all those Captain Marvel movie figures, but what can you do? Next up, you can get the K-pop Demon Hunters Anniversary Lego set right now. A new Lego set featuring characters Derpy Tiger and Sussy Bird from the Netflix show K-pop Demon Hunters. Actually, they're not out yet, but they're going to be up for. Oh no, they are up for pre-order. Right. The 825-piece set is available for pre-order for $69.99. Remember, Legos are expensive, and will ship on Saturday, August 1st. The set release coincides with the 1-year anniversary of the K-pop Demon Hunters film. Has it already been 1 year? Yes, it has. And again,
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yep, there's more stuff, but I'm saving those for next week because it's already late and it's long. Spirit of Halloween's new animatronics this year include Michael Myers, Pennywise, and Ghostface. And no, not Austin Powers, Michael Myers. Although that would probably also be scary. So yeah, so the Michael Myers is going to be 6 foot 6 inches based on the original the original thing. So, and of course it's going to play the theme. It's going to play the main theme that you would want it to play and Laurie's theme. So let's see, we're getting also a new Pennywise, which is from the Welcome to Derry series. They don't have pictures of that here, I don't think. And of course, we're getting Ghostface from not Ghostface Killer, Ghostface from Scream, because you know I don't necessarily have to put that information out there, but I am just because, yeah. And some other stuff that Spirit of Halloween is going to have when you see those shops pop up in the next month, 2 to 3 months, or probably now, you know, depending on depending on where you are. Who knows? That stuff gets earlier and earlier. Just found the perfect birthday gift for the Munchkins, especially since they are in their Legos phase. Nice. And you know what? If you're interested in that sound wave, you can get that for yourself. You know, make it a family project. But cool. Next up, though.
Spider-Man brand new day popcorn buckets were revealed as tickets went on sale. If you haven't gotten your opening night tickets, you might be a little hard pressed to find availability for them because they sold out pretty quickly. You know, obviously there's opening weekend. The entire opening weekend you should still be able to get a ticket to go see Spider-Man brand new day opening weekend. That opening Thursday / preview night might be a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, AMC and Regal have some of the best buckets and exclusives out there. But this article has details on some of these things. I know that Roddykat is a connoisseur of these types of things, but you know, I can let him talk about it. But yeah, some of these look pretty cool. The whose is this? This is Cinemark. I don't know where there's a Cinemark movie theater near me.
Yeah, neither
but
do I.
But that combo container of Spidey's web shooter being a combo drink and popcorn container looks really cool.
So hold on. Von Gloom said Spider-Man buckets are normal. You wanna stick to that one? If you're watching the video version, you can see what we're talking about. It is a cool looking container though. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, what'd you say? So yeah, the Regal one. There's the Regal. Actually, the Regal button, the one is not terrible. So it's just Spider-Man's head with a top on it, and of course you got the cup and you got the tin with him crawling on the side. That was
Yeah,
all
I was
right.
about to say, Cinemark is not in the New York City area. They are in New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen a cinema or seen or heard of a Cinemark studio theater close. So because there's a couple other things that we've talked about that was exclusive to them that were actually pretty cool looking. But yeah, you can see the which one is this one? This is the Cinemark's version. So there's a popcorn bucket with lids. The one that we talked about with the web spinner. There's a blanket apparently. Now, I didn't know blankets with that. It makes sense. The blankets were a kind of a thing for movie theaters because I've seen. Yesterday when I went to the movie theaters, there's a whole big ass line like when you get into the line to get concessions of blankets, and I was like, you know what, that kind of sort of makes sense because movie theaters do be cold, but at the same time, like you would think people would normally just bring their stuff with them. So. But having collectible ones, I guess there could also be a market for that as well. Von Gloop says comparable to the questionable booty holding phallic blankets. Yeah, I mean you're right. You're right. In comparison to those, yeah, this is still normal. So yeah, those are going to be out there around the time. I'm sure the AMC, the Regal stuff, you'll probably be able to get on their merchandise, and the AMC one as well. You'll probably be able to get on their website. Next up though. That's not okay. Wait, is that the last one? Hold on, let me make sure of it. It is the last one. Marvel fans run to so this is what Agent 7 was alluded to earlier. Marvel fans run to snag Dave's Hot Chicken's new limited time X-Men 97 collab. I have seen this restaurant, but it is nowhere near me because it's like where
there are some in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to one of these. I'd never heard of one of these. Apparently, it is a fast food style restaurant. I've never gone into one.
Yeah, and they sell where is hot chicken from? Like Nashville hot chicken, basically in various forms. So you got tenders, you got sandwiches, blah 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 blah. That's what they do, from what I understand. Yeah, I've never tried them either, but I've, like I said, usually on the side of town I end up on Sundays. I've seen it, but they're usually closed because it's early. So, but anyway, so yes, I saw this on Twitter, I believe. So I was like, oh, this is funny. So, you can get a limited time meal like a salt about. You get collectible figurines with it, and if you're watching the video version, you can see some of the figures you get with it. So there's of course, Cyclops and Jean Grey, Wolverine and Storm. There's a Happy Meal-esque box right there. Let's see, there is the food, which is actually starting to make me hungry. With one of the meals, and I thought there was more to it, but I guess that's it. So regardless, that's all you need to know. Not a sponsor or anything, but I just saw this being a funny thing.
Shoot, made me hungry too.
Right, and it's late, so that's going to be a problem for me. Which I was going to eat anyway, so it doesn't matter. So let's wrap this up so that can happen. Let's get one last ad read, shall we?
Our last ad read for this episode: keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Now, if you shop at Amazon often, bookmark the link or add it as your homepage so that you can help the CSPN each time you order. We thank you for your support. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
A little behind the scenes. Sometimes when Agent 70 is doing the promos, I'm doing a gesture, like sometimes, like this, or when he's doing the wink one, I'll be like, I don't know, yeah, because every time he says, "Do ever had tried a war on twine?" I say, "No, I haven't. I need to rectify that." But that's a little behind the scenes. You may not hear this in the audio version. We'll see. Regardless, that we have come to the end of this here podcast for this week. We will be back with more of My Adventures with Superman next week. Maybe one day I will have actually finished and watched the Spider Noir. Who knows? We don't have any more movies until the next Spider-Man movie come out, so maybe I'll be done by then. Who knows, folks? And I'm sitting here actually, and the reason why I'm also because I'm trying to make sure there's nothing else coming down the pipe.
Well, we may be going on. We may
yes,
be
there is
going
that.
on movie protocol for the Odyssey. Because
That's a couple of weeks. So
yeah, it's not confirmed yet, but we may be.
yeah, I saw that trailer. I forgot to ask what trailers came before Supergirl. And actually, real quick, so Odyssey was one of them. Clayface was the other one, which kind of squeaked my wife out a little bit. Which rightly so, because I think that was the intended thing. And was there another one? I think there was another one, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, we did not get Clayface. I've gotten Clayface before at I believe it was Mortal Kombat.
Oh yes, yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Right, I think I got Clayface at Mortal Kombat. I did not get Spider-Man. I mean, it kind of makes sense that they would not like cross promote a Marvel movie, a big Marvel movie, at a DC movie, but they often do. So yeah, we definitely got the Odyssey.
Right. I'm still
I don't remember
trying to what the third one
I don't
was.
remember any of the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was like we saw a lot of Anne Hathaway movies. I'm like, wow, she's really busy this summer.
Oh, talking about that dinosaur one? Yeah. I think I got that one with Mortal Kombat, but I didn't get that one with this one. But so yeah, there was a couple, and I don't remember those two, the only two that stood out, honestly. So it is what it is.
Right, we got the dinosaur one with Ewan McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
The Oak Street, there was like the end of Oak Street or something like that.
The end of the street or something like that. Yeah, whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And there was another one. The Anne Hathaway one.
It wasn't that Devil Wear Prada movie, was it? Yeah, I didn't think so. I think that was out already.
It's another one.
I guess shout out to her. She got
Yeah, she's working.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Didn't she just have a baby or something? I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Oh no, I think she's pregnant now.
There we go. That's what it was. Yeah. So got to support them babies or whatever.
Right.
But so nothing next week that I can think of that we'll have to go on any kind of thing for, and it's tentative for which we'll talk about next week for that thing. Age of 70 is going to see with Spider-Man and the rest of them folks. That's not Spider-Man. I saw the trailer for that. I was like, oh, okay, it's a Nolan flick for sure, but okay, maybe I'm tired. But yeah, that's it, folks. Just get out of here, because it's hot. Also, so yes, folks. The end of the show. I have been Roddykat. This is you can find me on at Roddykat on Blue Sky and Twitter. You can find me at News on Zeno on Blue Sky and Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. You can find this here show on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's ESPN.US.
Do it today.
You can also find us on. Oh shoot! I knew I forgot something. Park the car. Sorry. Show and tell, real quick. Real quick. Sorry. Because if I don't do this now, they're gonna get cracked for no reason. I went to the store, of course. Marvel Magic the Gathering set has happened. There's a pre-release box right there. Sorry for the ASMR. I got one of those. And of course, I got a box of boosters, which I haven't cracked yet, as you can see, but I have been playing a decent bit on Arena, which, hey, it's not a sponsor. If you want to get into Magic the Gathering, it's free. Magic Arena, and it's on Steam. And on your phone, also, if you want to get into Magic the Gathering. And the Spider-Man set is back where it's supposed to be, so yay! But anyway, therein lies that, and I didn't even do the thing that I said I was going to do in this. But all right, folks. Now then, I've been. I'm just going to cut out part of that. I've been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerd Sneed on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. You can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, the CSBN.US.
Do it today.
Sorry for the folks that had to suffer through this on the video. You can also find us on your podcast bruiser place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page, and you can also find us on Thursday nights recording 9:30. Usually they're on 9:30, it's more close to 10 o'clock. On youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts. That helps people find our show. On video, make sure to click like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when we're on live. Smash that like button.
Yeah. And with that, folks, we're out of here. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Wakanda forever!
Good evening, Red. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?